1945. Christmas night. In a small town in West Virginia, 5 children hug their mother before bed and say, "Good night." Tonight, when they wake up, everyone will have a happy Christmas morning. But those children will never wake up again. Or will they? Because what will disturb you most about this story isn't the death. It's the fate of 5 children whose bodies were never found. What remained after the flames. And that single photograph, a mother devoted the rest of her life to investigating. Today, we're talking about one of the strangest and most unsolved disappearance cases in American history. The Sodder Children. And after watching this video, I guarantee you won't be able to sleep without thinking about this family. George and Jenny Sodder were a hard-working couple who had emigrated from Italy to America. They settled in the small town of Fayetteville, West Virginia, and built a modest trucking business. They had 9 children, a large home, a humble life, and a strong family bond. But George Sodder wasn't just an ordinary father. He was a man who openly spoke out against Mussolini and publicly opposed Italian fascism. And this detail would later take on a very significant meaning. By December of 1945, George was 49 years old, and Jenny was 44. 5 of their 9 children were home that night. Maurice, 14. Martha, 12. Louis, 9. Jenny, 8. And little Betty, just 5 years old. It was Christmas Eve. The children were excitedly waiting for their gifts before bed. Jenny Sodder stayed up past midnight. And then, in the late hours of the night, the phone rang. It was just past midnight. Jenny rushed to the phone. She later recalled that moment for years. A woman's voice was asking for a name I didn't recognize, and in the background, laughter, music. The line went dead without a word. When Jenny returned inside, she noticed the lights were on and the front door was unlocked. Small things. But on this night, everything mattered. Around 1 o'clock, Jenny heard a sound. Something rolling across the roof. She fell back asleep. At 1:30, George Sodder's voice jolted her awake. "Fire! The house is on fire!" The house was engulfed in flames. George and Jenny escaped with 4 of the older children. But upstairs, inside the smoke and fire, 5 young children were still trapped. George Sodder attempted to enter the burning house multiple times. The stairs were unusable. He ran to the barn for the ladder. The ladder was gone. It was later discovered the ladder had been moved from its place. He drove his car to the base of the wall and tried to climb up. He couldn't make it. He ran to the neighbors for help. The house burned to the ground in just 45 minutes. The fire department arrived only then. And in the smoldering ruins, nothing remained of the 5 children. Or so it was claimed. Immediately after the incident, the official statement came. The fire had started from an electrical fault. The 5 children had perished. The bodies had burned. The case was closed, but George and Jenny Sodder refused to accept this explanation. And they had no reason to, because the questions kept coming. First question, did the fire start from an electrical fault? An electrician had inspected the Sodder home's electrical system just weeks before the fire. He had said, "Everything looks fine." Moreover, some lights in the house continued to burn even after the main power was cut that night. How is that explained by an electrical problem? Second question, where are the bodies? In an average-sized house fire, especially one extinguished this quickly, it is physically nearly impossible for human bones to be completely incinerated. Forensic experts confirm this. So why was there no bone fragments, no teeth, no trace whatsoever left of 5 children? Third question, why did the fire department take 45 minutes to arrive? The fire station was only 2.5 miles from the Sodder home. Fourth question, where was the ladder? George couldn't find it in the barn that night. It was later found in a field, far away. Did someone move it there? And perhaps the most unsettling, when George's truck was inspected that night, the brake fluid had been cut. If he had tried to drive for help, he would have had no brakes. Was this just a tragedy? Or was this a staged scene? After the incident, strange things began to happen. Several witnesses reported odd observations in the area. A hotel owner said that shortly after the fire, some Italian-looking adults stayed at the hotel with several children. The children appeared frightened. They weren't speaking. And the hotel owner said those children resembled the Sodder Children. Another witness said they saw a car speeding through the area on the night of the fire and heard children's voices coming from inside the vehicle. Jenny Sodder claimed that years later, a woman approached her and whispered, "Your children are still alive." The authorities dismissed all of it, but George and Jenny took it seriously, and they kept investigating. In 1952, they erected a large billboard in front of their home. On it were the enlarged photographs of the 5 children. Underneath, a single question: do you know these children? That billboard stood there for years, as a symbol of a parent's desperation, fury, and hope. And then, in 1967, exactly 22 years after the fire, something happened. Jenny Sodder received an envelope in the mail. Inside was a photograph and a short note. The letter contained only these words: "Louis Sodder. I know him. He is still alive." In the photograph was a young man. Suit and tie, a serious gaze. And when Jenny Sodder looked at that photograph, she began to cry, because that young man resembled the son she had imagined grown up. The letter had been sent from a city in Florida. Jenny immediately launched an investigation, but the address turned out to be false. The person was never found. The trail vanished. Was this letter a cruel hoax? Or was someone who knew the truth feeling too endangered to say more? Jenny Sodder carried that photograph with her until the day she died. So what really happened? Over the years, 3 main theories have emerged. Theory 1. The children really did die. The fire was real. The bodies were completely incinerated. Some experts say that at extremely high temperatures, bones can be entirely destroyed. The fire department's delay was due to organizational issues in the town. The strange testimonies were the product of grief overburdened over the years. Theory 2. The children were kidnapped. George Sodder's open opposition to Mussolini may have created enemies within the Italian mafia or fascist sympathizer groups. The children were taken as a tool of intimidation or revenge. The fire was a cover-up scene. Theory 3. There was someone on the inside. Local authorities deliberately obstructed the investigation. The delayed fire department, someone who moved the ladder, someone who cut the brakes. All of it pointed to an organized cover-up. Why? Still unknown. No theory has been proven. None has been completely disproven. George Sodder passed away in 1969. Even on his deathbed, he was asking about his children. Jenny Sodder lived until 1989, until the age of 85. And that billboard, the one bearing the question, "Do you know these children?" stood until Jenny passed. It was taken down after her death. This case is officially still open. It has never been resolved. The fate of 5 children remains unknown to this day. This story makes me think. Official explanations don't always tell the truth. And a mother's will, without evidence, without support, can endure for decades. Because being a mother sometimes means refusing to accept living without answers. What do you think happened to these children? Write to me in the comments below. I'll read out the most compelling comment in the next video. And if you're curious about the dark corners of real history, don't forget to follow the channel. Every week, a new mystery will be waiting for you, right here. Until next time.